Welcome to the Business of Government Hour TV, a video companion to our flagship radio program. I'm Michael Keegan, your host. Each week, government executives and thought leaders join me for an informative, insightful, and in-depth conversation on improving government effectiveness. These individuals are truly changing the way government does business. Each year, millions of people are trafficked in countries around the world, including the United States. Human trafficking is modern-day slavery. How can we combat this scourge? What role does the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's Blue Campaign play in combating human trafficking? I'll discuss these questions and so much more with its Executive Director, Mick McKeown. Also joining us from IBM is Don Fenhagen. Take a look and take a listen. Download the entire interview at iTunes or on businessofgovernment.org. So, Mick, would you provide us with an overview of the history and mission of the Blue Campaign? When was it created, and how has the mission evolved to date?
Sure. So the mission was created in 2010, and the Blue Campaign originally was housed in the USCIS, which is Citizen Immigration Service, a Ombudsman's office. And then it moved to headquarters and became a campaign for the secretary to kind of oversee and look. I'm appointed by the secretary, and we're really excited because just this January, the president signed the Blue Campaign Authorization Act. So we are now authorized and codified, and it's a very big deal. You know, in this town, it's very hard to get the House and the Senate to agree on something, and then the president to sign it. So it was a fascinating experience to have, and it was great to see to be there for the signing. And we're really thankful for Chairman McCall and Chairman Johnson to help get it through. It meant a lot to us.
So what exactly does the campaign, what's its mission, and what's the significance of Blue, the name of the campaign?
Oh, sure. So we are the unified voice for DHS in human trafficking. And the way I like to talk about it is that, look at DHS as General Motors, right? We have 22 components or 17 brands, however you want to look at it, and we're able to be that hub for all the spokes as we work across it. And Blue Campaign is two things. It's a hat tip to law enforcement because we are the law, that thin blue line that protects all of us. And then the other is that blue is also kind of become the color for human trafficking worldwide. So there's variations of the Blue Campaign as a whole across the country, or across the world, excuse me. And I think that's kind of where we get the Blue Campaign. And it also keeps us into an idea where our customers are, not only law enforcement to train them on the issue, but also for the general public so they can understand the indicators of what might be happening in their town and their community.
Mick, before we delve into your specific vision and priorities for the campaign, would you describe for us what is human trafficking?
So human trafficking is the use of force, fraud, or coercion to use someone against their will or for illicit purposes or criminal purposes. And I think that one of the issues in human trafficking that we like to really make sure that people don't get mixed up with is with the idea of human smuggling.
Yes, that's a good distinction. Yeah.
So we don't want to conflate those two issues because smuggling, is the transportation of people across a border, and you pay for you pay the fee or whatever it is that you may do, and but trafficking, you don't necessarily have to move. The idea of trafficking, you could actually we have cases where kids woke up in their parents' home and went home to their parents' home, but were trafficked during those 8 hours in between. But your smuggler can become your trafficker. So the idea is with that, and I see your eyes kind of let me just wrap my head around this. You can pay the fee, end up where you're supposed to end up, and then all of a sudden find out they're coercing you and saying, oh, you actually owe us some more money, you have to work it off, and then you never have anything.
Yeah, so, gosh, yeah, it's hard to wrap your head around some of those concepts, but so what are some of the key indicators of human trafficking? How do you go about it, identifying a potential victim of human trafficking? Kind of related to the See Something, Say Something campaign. Right. How do we?
So this is what I like to do. I like to there's if you can go to our website and our Twitter and Facebook accounts, www.dhs.gov/Blue Campaign. But for me, the very, very first indicator is the gut check. what doesn't feel right. You know, something is out of place, kind of like that old Sesame Street thing. Which one of these things doesn't belong?
Right.
And I think that's the first one. And the other thing that I always like to point out is, and it seems like an odd one, but it's the identification. Like, do these people have access to their identification? And you know, I think that when you see someone who, you know, is going to someone else, whether it's in a pharmacy or the airport or anything, and asking for their driver's license, who in their right mind would not have access to their driver's license or their passport or something like that? It's one thing to give for the 12-year-old to give it to their mother, but other than that type of scenario, why do you have it? Or if someone's speaking for the group and they don't have a coherent story or a story that makes sense. But what we like to kind of talk about too is that, you know, when you're dealing or seeing this, one of the things is that their scenarios are always unique and different. And when you keep your eyes out for it, it's going to be that time when just something doesn't feel right. You know your community better than anyone else. You know what's right or what's wrong on your block. And if there's just a large number of people coming in and out that haven't happened before, that's one of those types of things that can kind of raise that flag.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So, you know, with the context that you just provided, which was great about the topic and some of the indicators, some of the myths and misconceptions of human trafficking, you know, would you outline your strategic vision and key priorities for the campaign over the next year or so? Do you have some key priorities you could briefly kind of walk us through?
Sure. So for me, the most important thing is partnerships. Okay. And I think that, you know, we've been able to kind of move our way into social media and use it extensively over the last few months. And when you talk about social media in the government space, I find that everyone says, well, it just needs to go viral. And that's just not going to happen. Like, you're just not going to have something go viral. First off, it's government. And, you know, second off, it's like we're not really necessarily producing things that
content.
We're not doing the water bucket challenge, you know. So there's going to be a different type of thought process here with that. But that's where partnerships are key. And instead of going viral in the traditional sense that it's just an overnight sensation, I kind of like to look at it as like, you know, we were that overnight success band with 10 years in the making, right. You know, and that's where that's where the partnerships come in. We've had some great partnerships with the Blue campaign. I want to kind of highlight two of those partnerships. One is the Allied Universal, and they're a security firm that is one of the larger private security firms across the country. These are the security guys that are at the malls and the venues for sporting events, and they're implementing training for their groups because these are the people who are going to see it first, right. And they need to know how to call in that tip to law enforcement, you know. And then the other, we have other hotel associations who are working with their back at the house staff to kind of see, you know, hey, what are some tips and what are some, you know, indicators that they need to look for as back of the house, whether it's, you know, housekeeping or the concierge or whatever of, you know, what this is. So, I mean, the private sector is totally buying into this concept and trying to help eradicate it. But when we're doing this, they're also helping us on the social front. So that's really, you know, is helpful to get those retweets or likes or whatever else, shares and things of that nature to kind of help. Yeah. Oh, well, you mentioned impressions. I am going to have to toot our hat. We did January 11th was National Wear Blue Day. Mm-hmm. And last year we had around 4 million impressions for Wear Blue Day. This year we had something like 44 million.
Wow.
We were able to get news stations across the country. The mayor of Los Angeles lit their city hall blue. We had people from all different sides of the aisle and all different walks of life wearing blue and Wear Blue Day. And that was a really awesome experience for me. And the chance to kind of see something go viral. We were able to trend on Twitter and, you know, do something. But that was also due to those partnerships, due to working with, you know, the different outlets and due to working with, you know, these city and state governments as well.
Mick, you talked about the Wear Blue Day and the success you had this past year. Can you tell us a little bit more about that day and how much, you know, kind of what you learned about that day and what you think is going to happen in the future to kind of enhance the effectiveness and continue making the progress that you've made already?
Wear Blue Day was someone else's idea. So one of the people who work on the campaign, Jen Voss, came up with the idea in 2017, and she pretty much tried to work it out with a small group of people and get it to connect, and she did great. And then when I came on board in the campaign, she talked to us about it again, and I got so excited over the idea because it's a no-brainer. It's a slam dunk, right? What a great way to raise awareness, and it's something easy, right? Just to wear blue.
Doesn't cost anything.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and well, actually, it did cost someone something, and I'll tell you that in a second. So we were able to. She really, helped with the team to get it together, and we really amplified it this year. And different groups and media outlets picked up on it. And one anchor realized that the morning show and the evening show were already doing it, and he didn't have any blue on, so he had to stop at Brooks Brothers and get it. It cost him about $150 for a new tie and a handkerchief. But yeah, it really worked out for us. And the basic idea is it's a great way to raise awareness, and it was so much fun to kind of watch it unfold. We were out in Las Vegas we're in Las Vegas to issue a partnership with the governor of Nevada, Brian Sandoval, and launched. But we also did a great launch with the DMV out there, the Department of Motor Vehicles. And in my previous government world, I was in parking, and I thought only people who were like less than parking was the Department of Motor Vehicles, and they were able to do a great thing because everyone gets touched by the Department of Motor Vehicles. You have to go there at least once a year. Yeah, they're going to be there. But one of the big indicators of human trafficking is the use of identification. So now they're getting trained, and this just shows the leadership of Terry Albertson from the DMV and Governor Sandoval to really help make this connection. And we were able to really go on that partnership, and that also helped amplify Blue Day, and we were able to really make something happen. And I'm really excited to see what we do next year.
See, Mick, you've done a wonderful job explaining the indicators that folks need to look out for. But, I'd like you to walk us through this. What can individuals do to combat human trafficking? How can they make a difference? And more importantly, and I noticed this on your website, what shouldn't the individual citizen do if they have that gut instinct?
Don't be a hero.
Yeah.
Just don't be a hero. You're not trained. You're not law enforcement. Call law enforcement. And I think you have to first realize, what are you calling? Are you calling a tip that your neighbors, the abandoned house all of a sudden has 50 people in it and something doesn't feel right? Or are you seeing something that is 911? And I think that's kind of one of the big things that we have to kind of differentiate from. And going back to what we said earlier, if you see something, say something, right? And, I think we have to kind of get out of the mindset that sometimes making the call is the better decision to make. And I think that's really where we have to work our way towards, because right now when we raise awareness, this is what we're raising awareness on, this is why we're doing it. Now, how do you handle it? Is you just make the phone call, and just say, hey, I don't know exactly what I'm seeing, but something's not right here, and put that tip into the system. And you can do that through 911 or through the ICE hotline, and going through it that way.
Be sure to join me next time on the Business of Government Hour TV for another informative, insightful, and in-depth conversation on improving government effectiveness. Until then, it's businessofgovernment.org.